Chapter 14 has 9 treasures, 6 optional conversations, 4 journal entries, and 2 journal notes in it. Starting right from when you enter this chapter, you'll take a right here up top and find your first treasure sitting on this cart.
Years, decades.
Your first optional conversation will be right as you drop down here. Your brother will be surveying the marketplace, and he'll give you the option to talk to him.
It's just this place. I mean, even without the treasure, this is quite the find.
And there it is. Press triangle, and that's the first optional conversation out of the way. Continuing on from right here, we're going to be going to the first journal note. You'll have to wait for the conversation to finish so that you can jump far enough. And there you go. You can launch yourself over to this roof, go in through that window right there in front of you, and you'll find a journal note just sitting on a table.
This letter's still legible.
Leaving from this room, we're going to head to the second optional conversation. This one's pretty extended, so I cut a bunch of it out, so you'd have to sit here and watch it with me. But I believe you have to press triangle at every one of the branching conversation paths, because the only other option would be to end the conversation, and so I think you do have to complete the full conversation for it to count. I've just shown you the first part of the conversation, just so you can see what I'm talking about. As soon as you sit down in this bar across from here, your brother will show up.
Not a bad view. Hey. Cheers. Yeah, cheers.
And there's the first of your branching paths right here, a triangle to talk or a circle to keep on moving. Just keep hitting triangle until you run out of conversation options. Once you're up from your conversation with your brother, you're going to drop back down and head over to the next building where you'll find a horse corpse. And that'll be your first journal entry in this chapter.
Huh. Horse bones.
They're still tied up. Like they were abandoned. Why?
Now I believe you have to activate this journal entry to get the next optional conversation.
They were taken away.
So once you're done investigating these horse bones, you'll just turn to your right here and have a little chit chat with your brother in the back of the barn.
So what do you think happened?
What do you mean?
And that's optional conversation 3.
Things must come to an end, right? I mean, I joke about cursed.
Leaving from this conversation, you're going to turn straight around and head over to the building directly across the street from this barn. And it's a blacksmith's building.
Hey, Sam, check it out. Blacksmith forge.
You'll have to pick up this sword.
Making some cutlasses here.
You can look at it a bit. Hey, nice sword. Then your brother will attack you with one.
Avast, you dirty dog. Nice.
And after you've gone through your dialogue with him, as you walk towards the front door, you'll be able to activate an optional conversation.
You're a horrible pirate.
Suppose they traded with other colonies?
If
That's
they
the
did,
fourth
they didn't
one
do it
out of the
on this
way.
island. Otherwise, word would have gotten out about the place.
Moving on from this conversation, you're just going to head down the street in the same direction you've been going. You'll find what looks like a tombstone at the end of the street, but it's one of the tenets
Sam,
for
check
living
it
in
out.
Libertaria.
It's like a
Libertania?
pirate
Libertania.
code of
Libertalia. Took me 3 tries, but I got it. That's journal entry number 2. Now, if you take a right from that little statue, you can hook into this building here. It's just to the left of the big Avery statue down in the courtyard. And you'll find your second treasure sitting on a barrel in the back room. Now the next optional conversation is also the next journal entry. So you only have to press triangle once and it'll give you both.
Captain Avery. Was wondering when you'd turn up.
Once you've gotten down to the Captain Avery statue, just go over to the, what are they called, pillories? I think they're called pillories. Things you stick your head and arms in when you're drunk. And everybody shames you.
Check it out.
As soon as your brother puts his head in it, just press triangle. It'll start the optional conversation, and at the end of the optional conversation, you'll take down a journal entry.
Yeah.
2 for 1. Just to the left of those pillories, you'll find a journal entry on the back of the Henry Avery statue.
was coming to find you.
Who's marking these places? Is that
That's the
another
last of
sigil?
the journal entries.
is amazing.
The third treasure
How do you suppose
is
to
just
get to
behind
that
you from
big
there.
building with the tower?
You'll go into the old pirate jail,
There's even a pirate
enter the
utopia that's a
cell
place to
first on
lock
your
up
left,
riffraff.
and roll into the cell on your right. Again, third time's a charm.
Well, I guess every group.
That's treasure number 3. After you found your way down into the hidden little room, you'll have to climb up into a set of mines that were being dug using that wooden ladder. Take the right path first, and you'll find your treasure number 4. After some combat sections, you'll find this area where you're able to swing across. Instead of swinging across to the tall, skinny towers, swing as far across as you can to this orange building. And from this orange building, you can drop down just inside this room and find a journal note sitting on a table on the first floor. From that journal note, just take a left, head out here, and climb the wall your brother's standing beside. And you'll find your 5th treasure just up on that ledge. After a bit more combat, you'll end up climbing up a tower, where you'll swing across to this ledge and work your way up into full view of one of their administrative buildings. Instead of jumping down, go to the right, swing around, and you'll land yourself right in this little room where there's a treasure waiting on the edge of that crate. After moving forward from there, not too far, just in the next room, you'll find a ballroom that you have to swing across. There's a chandelier on the ceiling. Instead of going to the right and progressing the story, go to the left here and shimmy along the wall. You'll find yourself in somebody's office, and the 7th treasure is sitting on their desk. Back to where you just came from, if you take the right path, you'll swing across this chasm, and you'll be able to climb inside the building that you were looking at before. You'll slide down into the very heart of it, and instead of exiting to the left, you want to take a right and head upstairs. You just keep hooking right, and when you get to the very top,
Probably.
jump across the gap
The Libertalia had a zoning committee.
and look right around the bust on the desk. You'll find your 8th treasure. Now once you've left this building, you'll come into the courtyard of their treasury, and you'll see there was a big battle here. If you just walk over to these corpses and wait for a bit, your brother will come over, he'll have a bit of dialogue with you, and you'll be able to start an optional conversation with him.
Cannons, improvised barricades. What the hell happened here?
Some kind of battle.
It's a rhetorical question. The real question is who's fighting who? Why?
Some of these bodies, dressed a bit more fancy, look like soldiers.
So was
And there it is, that's the
colonists
6th
versus
optional
the
conversation and the final one in this
That's the
chapter.
treasury up there. Appears
Now for the final
someone was trying to
collectible
make
and the
a
final
withdrawal.
treasure.
Let's just
Just
hope
work
it
your way
exists,
through this barricade,
right?
hug the right wall. You'll find it sitting behind one of these pillars on top of a knocked over chair. And that's that. All the collectibles in Chapter 14. Thanks for watching.